Dear comrades, I am dealing with income inequality, banks, and trade unions. As all we know, income inequality is the disparity in the incomes commanded by the top percentile of the population in comparison to the bottom percentiles of the population. An unequal distribution of wealth and income will widen the gap between the rich and poor. As per Gini coefficient is a measure for income inequality. India ranked 95 out of 157. While India, our country, is one of the fastest growing economies in the world, it is also one of the most unequal countries in terms of income inequality. According to the latest survey by Oxfam, earlier Comrade Anish quoted that India's top 10% of the population now holds 77% of the wealth, while 67 million citizens of this country raise their wealth by just 1%. And the 67 million citizens of this country comprises the poorest half of our country. There are 119 billionaires in India. The number has increased from only 9 in 2000 to 101 in 2017. Between 2018 and 2022, our country is estimated to produce 70 new millionaires every single day. Today, it has been reported that Mukesh Ambani became one of the 5 richest persons globally. In India, economic inequality is being added to a society that is already fractured along the lines of caste, religion, region, as well as gender. Burgess and Pandey in 2005 conducted a study on the effects of a state-led bank branch expansion program enacted in India between 1977 and 1990. That is, after nationalization and before LPG reforms. They find that between that period, the state-led branch expansion into rural unbanked locations reduced rural poverty. While discussing about the bank presence and credit flow to the lower income societies, we should also note that the development or expansion of the formal financial sector, preferably helps the rich and the middle class. Poor primarily rely on informal connections to obtain funds. I would like to quote Alexandra Dionoforio et al. In their work, Banking Development, Socio-Economic Structure, and Income Inequality. That work investigates the impact of local banking development on income inequality and the role of socio-economic structure in Italy. In their study, they find that local banking development mitigates income inequality. According to them, a local banking development has a significant negative effect on the Gini coefficient. A 10% increase of the bank branch density, I repeat, a 10% increase of a bank branch density induces a 1.9% reduction in the Gini coefficient. Bank branch expansion, and by ensuring credit access to the low income groups, banks can play a very vital role in acquiring fixed wealth and better income to the poor, acquiring human capital through educational as well as skill development loans, urbanization, infrastructure development, and promoting entrepreneurship. This will considerably reducing the income distribution gaps to a certain extent. The public sector banks in our country are playing this role and implementing the financial inclusion as well as other credit support programs of the government. And it has been discussed earlier also the role of PSBs in the nation building. But what is on the cards for public sector banks? Initially, we all know the merger scheme. The government is reducing the branch presence of public sector banks by consolidations and mergers. Branches of PSBs are closed in the name of rationalization after mergers. Now, the government and the policy is moving towards privatization of public sector banks. If the public sector banks are privatized, who will take care to the needs of the common citizen, the poorest of this country? And also, who is going to buy the privatized public sector banks? With whose money? We gave them loans, they didn't repay. We written off and settled their loans through haircuts and deep haircuts. Now they will buy the public sector banks with our own money, the money of the people of this country. Richer becoming richest, poorer becoming the poorest. When a bank is privatized, profit will be the only motto. Nation building and assisting the needy will not be the priorities, and thereby privatization of PSBs will definitely catalyze the income gap between the ultra rich and the poor of our country, which will be definitely against our nation's interest. Apart from this, what is the role of public sector banks as an employer? And the trade unions in public sector banks in reducing the income gap? Recruitment of staff to public sector banks will result in increasing the income of low as well as middle class families in our country. But what is happening nowadays? PSBs are not conducting adequate recruitments. For example, State Bank of India, India's largest lender, India's largest bank, India's largest PSB in our country, has not appointed a single messenger, single peon till 1997. That is for the last 23 years, no appointment in peon cadre. Then who is doing the jobs of peon in State Bank of India? In other banks, it is outsourced. What is outsourced? Housekeeping jobs or cleaning jobs are only outsourced. But who is doing the jobs of peons? The outsourced staff with the minimum wages of a sweeper doing the job of a peon. Here comes the non-payment of minimum wages as well as the income gap is increasing. Another example to quote, banks are not giving equal opportunity for promotions for their subordinate cadre employees. Promotions for their subordinate cadre employees. They are coming from the lower strata of the society and denying them a chance, thereby scuttling their chance to reduce the income inequality of them as well as their families. Another point, recently, the India's largest lender reappointed retired personnel, including clerical staff, in various positions. That is income for those already having pension, income for those already having an income, but no job for the youth of this country, no job for the unprivileged class of our nation. What happened to the temporary or casual employees of branches being rationalized due to the mergers? They lost their job, they lost their income. Who are they? Whether income inequality is increasing or decreasing after rationalization? There comes the role of trade unions. Trade unions should definitely continue their fight for recruitments in all cadres, for ensuring the minimum wages is paid to each and every worker, whether permanent, contractual, casual or temporary, demand for opening of new branches in unbanked areas, agitate against the closing of branches, agitate against retrenchments and voluntary resignation schemes, protest against the privatization of public sector banks. How could trade unions continue their fight? With the young bankers. Now we are discussing with the young bankers. Now the majority workforce in our sector. In a survey conducted by Deloitte and CII, Confederation of Industries in India in 2015, among the workers in the manufacturing sector, over 60% of the workers choosing not to be affiliated with a trade union. Whether we can be in this state? Now the younger generation, I have serious objections regarding the earlier statements also. They are coming to the banks, working late and leaving home, minimum participation in trade union activities. Now they only know how the duties are to be done and forget the rights and how the rights are hard earned in their earlier years. The younger generation should be made aware of the importance of trade union through positive interventions, active participation of the younger generation in programs, through digital communications, through continuous and effective curriculum to awake their trade union spirit, digital communication like a webinar we are now organizing, which is now at a state, and the trade union spirit, which is now at a state of inertia inside them. We have to change that state of inertia inside them. And on the other side, managements are increasing outsourcing in each and every sector. For example, in State Bank of India, car loans are outsourced, housing loans are outsourced, cash counting and currency chests are outsourced, MA help counters are outsourced, ATM channel management is outsourced, financial inclusion business is being outsourced, everything is getting outsourced and thereby reducing the permanent workforce which is having the bargaining power capacity, which may bargain with the managements for better wages, for better service conditions, for recruitments and for reducing income inequality in the society. Whether the outsourced employees are getting equal pay, unfortunately, no, they are not getting, and it is also a constitutional violation. What awaits us in the road ahead? That is the main point of discussion. Retrenchments, layoffs, outsourcing, reduction in workforce in the name of digitalization, job security of public sector banks, increasing of working hours, labor law amendments to protect the interest of capitalists, labor law amendments to dilute trade union freedom, labor law amendments to make the road clear for privatization. So many to come in the coming days. Regarding privatization, banks, railways, defense, coal, aviation, electricity, petroleum, health sector, and the PSB's disinvestment, ordnance factory, so many to come. Privatization is on their way and it is on the cards and we are in front of the reality. And who will resist? Who have to raise the voice? Definitely the younger generation should raise the voice. I am leaving this question, who will raise the voice before the audience of this August forum? Thank you, comrades.